I'd like to introduce Ben West, remarkable young man, a researcher for the Green Party. He wrote the first newspaper on gateway leadership, and he's a leadership candidate. Please welcome, will you, Ben West.
Well, thank you all. My name's Ben West. I have the distinguished honor of being here filling the shoes of Elizabeth May, the leader of the Green Party of Canada, who fortunately for her is just getting her hip replaced. So she wasn't able to be here. She sends warm wishes for everyone and wishes she could be here. And I'm lucky enough to have the opportunity to be welcomed here to speak on her place. So thank you to the organizers and to our hosts. This is really quite an amazing event and an issue that is so important, so I'm really thrilled to be a part of this. I'm starting to feel really at home in the Unitarian Church. I was actually just here last week. I don't know, I see a couple familiar faces in the room. I was invited to be a part of a philosopher's cafe at the fireside room over there, talking about the role of youth in politics, which I think is absolutely essential. I, unlike some of the speakers that you've heard come before me, do not come from an older generation of politics, although I'm probably going to sound a lot like what they sounded like. I actually come from a newer generation of people that are not just concerned about what we're passing on to the next generation, but are concerned about what the world's going to look like when we turn 40 or 50 or 60 years old. So I think this issue is fundamentally important. So I'm actually going to thank another group of people that you might be surprised to hear me thank. I'd like to thank the Gateway Council. Now, you're probably wondering why I would say such a thing. The Gateway Council, for anybody who doesn't know, is a group that's been in existence, according to the Government of Canada's own press release, for at least 10 years, but I would say probably in truth has existed a lot longer than that. And this is a group that represents big business and big industry in British Columbia. It's the group that created what we're calling the Gateway Project. And I would go so far as to say that the Gateway Project isn't just a project, it's a model. It's a development model that's being pushed on us by a group of people very interested in a certain way of doing things that goes back 30 or 40 years, if not longer than that. It's the same people that we said no to 30 or 40 years ago. Well, actually, I wasn't here 40 years ago, but some of you did. And it's the exact same stuff that we're talking about now that we talked about back then. So I want to thank the Gateway Council because they've given us an opportunity to say no to a whole bunch of bad ideas all at the same time. You know, there's this proposal that's on the table right now that, you know, there's so many different elements of, and you know, there's a diverse group of people in the room right now from all over the area who are being affected in different ways by different elements of this project. And not only has it given us an opportunity to say no to a bunch of bad ideas, but it's also given us an opportunity to make some new friends and to find common cause with people throughout the region who may not have you know, had any reason to come together if it were not for this project. So I think in a sense, the Gateway Project is giving us an opportunity to build real links of community that are going to be important not just for this project, but for the really serious challenges that we're facing in the near future. So in that sense, I would like to thank the Gateway Council. In the Cantonese language, there's no word for sustainability. The word that it comes closest, or the closest way we've been able to translate sustainability is this idea of a virtuous circle. The virtuous circle represents a symbiotic relationship between trading partners or between people involved in some sort of a transaction. And the virtuous circle is something that can sustain itself over a long period of time because everybody continues to benefit from it. So the question I would ask is, if we're really talking about a new relationship with the Pacific, and if we're really talking about what our relationship with China will look like specifically, given that China is the biggest country in the world and takes up a large portion of the Earth's population, what would a virtuous relationship with China look like, and what would that circle really look like? Now, there might be some question as to whether trade with China is really going to be sustainable in any real sense. But I would put forward that if we're serious about sustainability and if we're serious about reducing greenhouse gas emissions, that doesn't just mean reducing greenhouse gas emissions right here in British Columbia. It means reducing greenhouse gases around the world. And if what we're doing is shipping... Thank you. If the Gateway Project is not just about people getting over the Port Mann Bridge faster, which the Port Mann Bridge element definitely is about, but if it's about increasing the amount of container traffic that's coming in through Delta and through Prince Rupert and other places, you know, what is it that we're importing and what is it that we're exporting? I mean, the reality is we're a resource-based economy, right? Like the Gateway Project is about us exporting our fossil fuels, exporting coal, exporting oil. There's a Gateway pipeline that doesn't get talked about enough that's definitely part of this picture. You know, how does that have anything to do with a sustainability agenda? We're shipping all these things to a place where there are not the kind of environmental standards that we even have here, which aren't good enough. So, you know, how does that have anything to do with sustainability? To sort of sum up what this model is really all about, I'll take a quote from Maclean's magazine that described it. I read in Maclean's magazine that right now China is shipping goods out of a fire hose and we're sucking them in out of a straw. So the Gateway Project is about drinking directly from the fire hose, right? And what is that going to mean to this region? It definitely is not going to mean that this is one of the most livable places on Earth. It definitely does not mean that we're serious about sustainability in any way. What it means is that we're going to be bringing in more and more plastic goods that are disposable, that are going to end up in our landfills. And if you're living in one of the regions like I am, where there's no garbage collection, you become very aware of the fact that there is no such place as a way that you can throw things to, right? So, I mean... So I think fundamentally what's missing here is this idea of ecological literacy. You know, why are we making these decisions? I don't think the people that are making them are necessarily evil people. Some might differ, but I personally believe that the people who are suggesting these things do believe that it's going to lead to growth and that's going to lead to jobs and that's going to be good for us. I personally think that if those people actually understood ecological principles, if they actually understood the connection between themselves and the natural world, and if they had at least some semblance of reverence or humbleness for that understanding, that we wouldn't be making these decisions. So as sort of an ending point of what I think is necessary, I believe ecological literacy is sort of the first step to sustainability. And I think that, you know, the Gateway Project is just this one thing that we're going to have to oppose, but there's going to be, you know, project after project and development after development that we're going to see coming forward that will not be based on the appropriate decisions, that will not be based on the appropriate design model. And if we don't get to a place where we're ecologically literate, not just the next generation, not just my generation, not just the young people that are coming after me, but everybody. I mean, this is something that's important to everybody. I wonder what would happen if we had an ecological literacy test for our MLAs and our MPs. I wonder how many of them could describe the laws of thermodynamics or even explain what entropy means. I mean, these are the fundamental principles that we need to understand. They're just as important as arithmetic and spelling and grammar. So I'm not going to use up too much more time because I know you've all been sitting here for a long time, but I really would like to thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to talking to you some more after the event. So thank you very much.